The Australian story, no matter the chapter, is an adventure story. Ancient, action-packed, precious and proud. This week we are hitting the highway with our guide to the great Australian road trip. Where to go, when to go and what to bring. Ours is a country of open roads and experiences wild and new. An adventure story that's yours for the making. For all of Australia's natural splendour, ours is a country and a culture born of the wide open road. Be it a lonely bush track burning through the desert, or a snaking two-lane blacktop hugging the coast and carrying the family closer and closer to some sun-drenched paradise. We are a nation of explorers whose love of the road trip knows no bounds. So, welcome to our guide to planning and perfecting the art of the great Australian road trip.
For most of us, Australia is the country of the long drive. And it was certainly that for me. My first journey of discovery was the 59 Falcon wagon, surfboard on the roof, mattress in the back, and off up the coast. If you're Australian and you haven't done the long drive, it's almost like something's missing. It's like a pie without sauce or flake without chips. It's like scrambled eggs without the toasted slice of white beneath. It's a rite of passage.
How cool are road trips? You know, I think it's just the sense of being on the open road, that sense of freedom and exploration. I remember my first road trip was with my family. I must have been about 9, I think. You know, it's on those types of journeys that you create the best memories. I know I've got some crackers, I bet you have some too, but maybe it's time to make some new ones. As Aussies, from the moment we are old enough to help Mum and Dad pitch the family tent, road trips have been built into our DNA. So when it comes to planning your next big adventure, your very first decision will be how long you're going for. If you've only got a few days or a week to spare, it's best to choose a region that can offer you great scenic drives and a variety of activities all in one area. But if your idea of the classic Australian road trip involves experiencing as much of the country as you can, then with 6 months to a year set aside, you can cover some serious ground.
I reckon that planning the big trip is almost as exciting as the big trip itself. But before you hit the road, you've got some decisions to make. Where will you be going and where will you stay once you get there? Australia has got some amazing holiday parks, and the best way to find them is to jump online. A great starting point is turu.com.au. There's a swag load of holiday parks there with all the details and more, and you can even make your booking. There's user ratings and reviews and lots of pictures to look at, so you know exactly what you're getting into before you even leave the house. Make sure you book well in advance too, and consider the school holiday periods. The very first bit of your planning is going to be based around the seasons, including the wet and the dry. You're going to have to take into account the road conditions, the crowds, are you going coastal or even into the outback? So you do need to be mindful of the time of year that you go. The wet lasts from December to March, so avoid the top of the country then. It'll be super hot and the road conditions just won't add up to a good holiday. My final bit of advice is, well, this is a self-drive holiday. That's the beauty of it. You can play things by ear if you need to. Yes, develop some sort of a schedule, but don't be afraid to depart from it if and when you need to. This is a holiday after all. Leave the pressures at home and get out there and see Australia.
Once you've done your research and locked in your holiday park bookings, your next big decision will be what wheels to take. Be it a caravan, camper van, or a four-wheel drive, the choice is important. Essentially, it comes down to the kind of mobility you want. balanced with the kind of comfort you think you'll need. My choice for a long trip would be to travel in a camper van, because whether you buy one or hire one, it blends all the best aspects into one vehicle. No towing, fantastic comfort and amenities, and more than any caravan or four-wheel drive with camper vans, you have total freedom. The beauty of camper van adventures is that you can stop anywhere, anytime, and you've got your hotel room with you. How good's my pad? It's like my own hotel on wheels. I only have to unpack once. Got a bed, got a kitchen, got like full pantries, fridge. I've even got my own ensuite. So I know you're jealous. It's pretty cool, eh?
Next, your chance to win our $100,000 Ultimate Adventure Kit.
For the Great Aussie Road Trip, vehicle choice is paramount, and for me that means a four-wheel drive. These vehicles offer freedom to explore our beautiful country, whether it's crossing a river, crossing the deserts. One of the things I absolutely love about four-wheel drives is their cargo capacity. You can load heaps of gear inside the vehicle in the back. You can put gear on top like kayaks, for example. You can chuck some mountain bikes on your tow ball as well. The more toys you have, the more fun you're going to have on your trip. For those who have to travel with a caravan, a four-wheel drive really makes the best of both worlds. With a great towing capacity, such as this Discovery here, it has a 3.5 tonne towing capacity, perfect for big caravans. It allows you to get yourself and your caravan out to a beautiful spot and then use the four-wheel drive to explore even further. When it comes to an engine in your four-wheel drive, a diesel engine is the only way to go for the Great Aussie Road Trip. A diesel engine offers fantastic torque and power, and also they offer great fuel economy. And the last thing about diesel engines is diesel fuel is available in more remote locations in Australia, which can be pretty important if you're keen to get right off the beaten track.
If you like diarrhea, then best to leave your water purification gear at home.
In order to light a fire, you're obviously going to want matches. Failing that, a lighter. If the car battery is still working, the car lighter. Or you can get yourself one of these, the Swedish Fire Steel 2.
Lastly, when it comes to selecting some wheels for your classic Australian road trip, if you're not a four-wheel driver or a camper vanner, then odds on you are someone that loves their caravan.
Now, one of the things that I love about caravanning is the convenience factor. You can arrive at your favourite caravan park, you can unhitch, and you can leave your caravan set up while you go off exploring the region in your own vehicle. And then by the time you get back, well, you're good to go. It's Comfort Plus. No matter where you want to go in Australia, there's a caravan to suit you. From massive fifth wheelers with living space to spare, to medium-sized rigs for touring couples and families. And you know what? There's even off-road rigs. These will take you to the tip of Cape York and even across the Gun Barrel Highway. Now, the beauty of caravans and campers and even four-wheel drives is
that you don't have to be locked into any set itinerary. You can go where you want, when you want. And you know something? That's what this lifestyle is all about.
The caravans themselves are only half the picture. What about the caravan parks? In Australia, we have van parks in some of the most desirable holiday locations in the world. And if you're looking for some tips, then grab your pen, because here's 3 of the best. If you like the idea of small town beach holidays, Treachery Camp at Seal Rocks on the New South Wales north coast is a pristine private campground of over 38 acres between Myall Lakes National Park and the sparkling waters of its very own beach. But if you're more into top-end adventures, 6 hours west of Cairns is the beautiful Cobbold Gorge Holiday Park, shaded in eucalypts, surrounded by incredible bird life, with its own stunning pool to cool off in. This is the ultimate outback van site. And rounding out your holiday park triplet, when it comes to parks surrounded by drop-dead gorgeous scenery, Western Victoria's Lakeside Tourist Park is the gateway to the sublimely beautiful Grampians National Park.
If you'd like to win yourself a lifetime of weekend fun, to kick off Australian Geographic Adventure's premiere series, we're going to be giving away the ultimate adventure kit that we hope will inspire you to get out and explore this amazing country of ours. To win this majestic 2015 Sierra Off-Road Extreme, complete with rugged 15-inch wheels, simplicity suspension, air conditioning, gas-heated hot water system, rear ensuite and a Kamek top-load washer. And this Stabicraft 1650 Fisher with Mercury outboard, low-rents electronics and trans-style trailer. Just text your full name and details to 1995 2010 to be in the running. Or go and grab your computer and log on to our website agadventures.com.au and use this code word to enter the draw. If you have any questions, all terms and conditions can be found on our website, so go get busy. Coming up next, a beginner's guide to setting up camp.
If you're not taking a caravan or a camper trailer on your road trip, you're going to be camping. And when you're camping, you have to have 3 essential things. That's good shelter, food and water. In terms of shelter, you need a really good 3-season family tent. That covers all weather conditions in Australia, mostly from the tropical north down to the colder south, no matter what time of year. Now inside that tent, you'll need some good sleeping mats and good sleeping bags. And I really recommend the air inflatable mats. They pack up nice and small in the back of your vehicle, but when they're blown up, they give you at least 5 to 7 centimetres worth of mattress, which is beautiful and comfy, and good sleeping bags. And a 3-season sleeping bag covers all weather conditions. And next is food. My number 1 pick for food is taking a gas cooker. The reason I suggest this is simply because in national parks, a lot of times there are fire bans in place. As much as we'd all love to cook over an open fire, it's not always possible if this is the case. Whereas you take a gas bottle, gas cooker, you can conjure up pretty much anything you like for breakfast, dinner and tea. One of my favourite pieces of food kit is a fridge freezer. The simple fact that if you're camping outside of town for more than a few days, an esky with ice just doesn't work. The ice melts and the food goes off. These fridge freezers will keep your food fresh and your drinks cold the entire time you're away. And I can guarantee you, I've never ever had a warm beer from a fridge freezer. And finally, and most importantly, is water. Now you can go without shelter for a few days, you can even go without food for a few days, but you cannot go without water for more than a day. I thoroughly recommend storing water in separate containers in your vehicle. That way, if you do drive over some corrugations or a pothole, one container breaks, you haven't used up all your water and there's no need to panic. So just remember, it's always important to allow for at least 10 litres of water per person per day.
Now, an important thing to remember when you're planning that trip of a lifetime is that not all caravans are created equal. So before you hit that off-road track, make sure that your rig is built for the job. You'll want to go over your van with a fine-tooth comb, making sure that all exposed components are protected and out of harm's way. Now look at this, I want to show you something. You can see this tap here. This is a good example of off-road design. It's mounted up nice and high behind this checker plate storage box as well as this stone guard here. What does this mean? Well, it means it's not going to be snapped off by any rocks when you're out on the tracks. Another thing to factor into your planning is, do you have the right coupling? Because I tell you what, up in Cape York, your standard 50mm ball coupling, well, it ain't going to cut the mustard. What you want is something like this, something that's going to offer you a good range of articulation. As you can see, it basically moves any which way. And that's what you want when you're exploring some of Australia's most tricky terrain. Now, it's absolutely critical to make sure you're running the correct tyre pressures when you're off-roading. It would be madness to do something like the Gibb River Road without dropping some air out of your tyres. The easiest thing to do is to get yourself something like this, a rapid tyre deflator. So the reason why you drop the air out of your tyres is it allows the tyre to conform around sharp objects, and it's going to give you a more comfortable ride too. My last tip for off-road caravanning, and this one's critical. Now, you can be as prepared as you like, but what happens if something fails and you're in a remote area? Australia doesn't do mobile phone coverage in the bush very well at all. So get yourself a sat phone. Yes, they cost a bit of money, but at the end of the day, it is cheap insurance.
When you talk about essential gear for the Great Aussie Road Trip, there's nothing more essential than a road map. Now, this huge map of Australia gives you the big picture in terms of distances and fuel stops, all essential information for when you're first planning your great adventure. It may seem old-fashioned, but I can guarantee you, you're going to need it. This is a HEMA map. Now, HEMA is an Australian company. They've been mapping this country for more than 20 years now, and really you can't beat an accurate map in terms of planning your trip. Once you've used the big map to put yourself in the big picture, it's time to gather some more information about your destination you've chosen. Now, these atlas and guidebooks are highly recommended. I love them. In terms of information inside, you've got things like detailed inset maps. They give you a history of the towns you're going to visit and the national parks, some information on whether there's park fees or not, camping areas, fuel stops, anything you can think of in terms of planning a trip. These guidebooks have them inside. There's also flora and fauna guides as well, so they're a great asset for planning. GPS is amazing technology. Where once you only had a map and that was it, now you have this as well, which is more interactive, and it shows you exactly where you are as you're driving, which can be a really good thing to know. It contains hundreds of maps, and you can download a variety of maps with topographic, regional overview maps like this one here, or your own maps you've designed yourself on your software at your home on your computer, and put them into the HEMA system, and it will read them, and then you can find your way to wherever you want to go to. It's just a great way of exploring this country.
To read about more great Australian adventures in the current issue of Australian Geographic and to secure yourself a subscription, log on to agadventures.com.au.
Coming up after the break, how you can save on fuel and keep cool in the car.
Welcome back to our guide to the Great Australian Road Trip, and when it comes to perfecting the art of long car journeys, it's comforting to know that science and engineering have combined to rid the weary driver of a most uncomfortable side effect.
I think most of us that have done a long drive have experienced a numbness in the nethers, a discomfort in the trouser, a particular exaggeration of perspiration where the body meets the car seat, requiring one of those annoying unscheduled pit stops to rearrange things, to encourage the blood flow and to perhaps hose things down. But now there's a solution.
If you love your long summer drives but dread sitting in a hot and sticky car seat, this is the Magic Comfort MCS 20. Simply strap the MCS 20 to your car seat, plug it into your car lighter, switch it on, and enjoy the light, cool, tickling air as it floats across your entire underside. Made from a high-quality, breathable cotton polyester fabric, this little microclimate changer could be the difference between hours of driving in a sweaty saddle or cruising in the best seat in the house.
Nothing like a little pleasure in the pleasure area.
There is one other vital thing to consider when you're planning your next epic road trip, and that is the fuel cost. Generally speaking, fuel will be 30 to 80 cents a litre more expensive in remote areas, so the most popular way to save money is to fill up in a big city. But there are a few simple things you can do to maximise your fuel economy. When driving the open road, 90 to 100 kilometres per hour is a very economical cruising speed. To avoid wind drag, don't stack things on your roof racks. Always drive with windows up. Ensure you have the correct tyre pressure. Underinflated tyres increase rolling resistance. Clean your air filter, particularly after dirt roads. And when you can, drive with the air conditioning off. But before you set off on your big adventure, we have one last important bit of advice.
The caravan's packed, the four-wheel drives are ready to go, and you've marked on the map all those exciting adventures that you're going to be having. But spare a thought for what you would do should the worst happen. That's right, I'm talking about caravan insurance. First up, the basics. If you're touring with your partner, are both of you listed on the policy as doing the driving or the towing? And what about roadside assistance? There's a lot of open highway out there. What happens if you do a wheel bearing and you're in the middle of nowhere? What would you do? Now, did you know that some insurance providers will discount your premiums if you do a towing course? Not all policies are the same, so it pays to read the fine print. For instance, people love going to North Queensland, but you know, in the monsoonal season, that area is prone to cyclones. Would you be covered? Overall, there's a bunch of insurance providers out there. Now, some of these are specialty providers who understand the needs of caravanners and the nuances of the lifestyle. So it really comes down to what you need out of your policy and can you tailor that policy to those needs.
Well, that's it for our guide to planning your next great Aussie road trip. And when you're ready to hit the road looking for adventure, see Brits. And hiring or owning an RV could be for you. And don't forget that our website, agadventures.com.au, is a fantastic tool to use when you're researching or booking your next classic Australian road trip. Join me as next week I take on Australia's next world-beating bushwalk, the drop-dead gorgeous Grampians Peaks Trail.